We're back! And I can't tell you how excited I am to bring you our next batch of chats for Season 2. We've called in some favours, pushed the boat out and bent over backwards to put together an epic guest list from all corners of the industry. As always, we'll be chatting through some amazing career journeys, as well as those all-important anecdotes. But we need your help too. We're on a mission to get more people interested in hospitality as a career of choice. So please do share these stories with the other wonderful people within your networks, and give us a subscribe and a follow across whatever podcast platform you're listening. It really does make a huge difference, and together we can keep raising the standards on the information that gets out on hospitality, the greatest industry on earth. Welcome to Hospitality Meets with me, Phil Street, where each week we take a light-hearted look into the stories and individuals that make up the wonderful world of hospitality. Today's guest is Ollie Cavaliero, Head of Employer Brand at Honest Burgers and all-round people superstar. Coming up on today's show, Ollie reveals puppy-like qualities.
I was very guilty, I think, of getting very excited about something, saying yes, and then just running away and doing it.
Phil reaches a new low.
I mean, there's never a great time to have a Portaloo.
And Phil and Ollie set the tone for the conversation.
Have we just gone on a rant? I think we have, Phil.
I think that was that.
We have.
Yeah.
All that and so much more as Ollie chats us through his career journey to date, as well as some wonderful insight into why Honest Burgers have a great reputation as an employer. Ollie also demonstrates that authenticity and honesty really do have such an important part to play in talent attraction. A huge thanks to Ollie for our chat. I'm absolutely thrilled to be back behind the mic, and we've got some amazing guests lined up over the coming weeks, so please don't forget to give us a like, subscribe, and a review on whatever podcast platform you're listening. It really does make a huge difference. Enjoy.
Hello and welcome to the next episode of Hospitality Meets with Phil Street in full colour now. And what a way to kick off the new season, as I welcome someone who's an absolute light for this industry. He's also got a cracking job title, which we'll get into later. But I am delighted to welcome the Head of Employer Brand at everyone's favourite burger joint, Ollie Cavaliero.
Hello, thanks very much for having me. And I didn't realise this was the first one of the new series. So
yeah, indeed. I probably should have warned you.
Yeah, you should have done. That's added pressure now. So thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, no worries at all. Yeah, I realised when I was writing the little spiel at the beginning that I called Honest Burgers a burger joint, and then I was thinking, can you do that? Is that right?
I mean, you can. It is a burger joint at the end of the day. I guess that's probably more American, but yeah, it's a place that serves burgers. So that's absolutely fine. Yeah.
Cool. And did I get the pronunciation of your name right?
Nearly,
Oh.
but no one ever does. I think there's only ever been one person that's ever actually did it spot on. But
go on then.
Very close. Cavaliero.
Okay.
Fine.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. I'll never say that again.
It was close enough.
Yeah. Brilliant. How are you anyway?
Good. I'm good. It's nice to see the restaurants getting busy. You know, there's so many more people in London, which makes our people happier, more enjoyable. So, yeah, really good.
Yeah. And where are you recording from today?
So I'm just around the corner from Windsor, actually. So I'm at home from Windsor. There's like a hurricane outside, so
Yeah.
I'm staying indoors today, and getting a new front door at the same time. So yeah, there's
crikey.
a lot going on
Timing.
around the house.
Yeah, well, we just had our bathroom done, which obviously the world needs to know about. But in the meantime, we've been having an outdoor portaloo while they were doing all the critical work, and I was so sweaty about getting it finished so that they could get the portaloo gone, which they did yesterday. But it was it was touch and go for a minute. But anyway, that's neither here nor there.
You should have chose the summer to have a portaloo outside.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, there's never a great time to have a portaloo, unless you're at a festival. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Great. Well, I mean, let's just kick right off then. If you could take us all the way back to the beginning of your career, because I think what I liked about your journey is that you didn't necessarily jump straight into hospitality, but talk us through your kind of life and times.
No, I mean, I guess I started my career, well, I say my career in hospitality. First job was actually, yeah, just washing dishes at the local pub. I think at age like 13, 14. But yeah, I mean, after college, I decided to get out of the UK, find a job abroad. So I joined a activity company, and we basically deliver activities for families whilst on holiday worldwide. So I went
Yep.
over to Mallorca. Well, I went travelling actually in Australia and Thailand at the age of 18. So I did that for a year, and then that's kind of when I decided, right, I need to
Nice.
get out of the UK, stay out of the UK. And yeah, so I worked for a really, really cool company called Interruption. And yeah, we delivered activities for families. Yeah, it says worldwide. So I started in Mallorca, and then went over to Turkey for 6 months, Egypt for about 9 months, and then Portugal. So yeah, I ended up doing that for about 4 years in total, actually.
Right.
And when I came back, that's when I went into hospitality. Started working for All Bar One in Wimbledon.
Yeah.
And yeah, so went to All Bar One in Wimbledon. So I'm just trying to think back now. And then that's kind of when I fell into recruitment. And I joined a recruitment consultancy called Appetite for Recruitment, where I wasn't really too sure. I loved hospitality. Working All Bar One with the customers and the team. It was really up my street. But I was kind of looking for a position in training at the time. But yeah, so kind of went into Appetite for Recruitment,
Yeah.
and I absolutely loved it.
People generally fall into recruitment. I think. I mean, I did as well. It was
Mm,
something that I didn't even knew existed as a career path when I started out in operations, and I fell
mm,
into recruitment as well, which happened on the back of a chance conversation with somebody.
mm.
So yeah, I don't. It's not one of those things that you're at uni or school where you go, I really, really want to go into recruitment. It's something that you learn about, I think, later down the line.
Yeah, massively. And I think, from the experience of working overseas, I knew that, I wanted something that was to do with people, to do with, service, to do with experiences. And that's where, and I did build a love for recruitment because I was working with candidates, finding great, great jobs. I learned a load of lessons along the way.
Yeah.
But I was never the best at it because I think to be the top biller, it's quite a salesy environment, or it can be quite a salesy environment. No, I just enjoyed taking candidates through a bit of a journey, introduce them to different clients, and it was great. I did that for 2 years, and I learned loads. But I knew I kind of wanted to get into an internal position. I'd always admired some of the clients that I spoke to, and wanted to find out a bit more about them and what they were doing, how they got into their positions, and I did, and I really thought, right, how can I get into this? So I reached out to a few people, got some advice, and we were doing a project with Five Guys at the time, and the operations director, I told him, I'm looking to move in house, and they had a recruitment manager position vacancy. So timing was just kind of perfect because I decided, right, now's the time. Company wise, Five Guys had um, 3 restaurants, I think, at the time when I joined,
Right. Wow.
and no recruitment department. I mean, really reflecting on it, I was I was I was way out my depth for that role. I don't really know why they employed me. I should have got someone with way more experience. Um, and it was amazing. Like we had there was a team of us, Marcel Khan, who was heading up Five Guys at the time, myself and a few others, and we were literally opening a restaurant every single week for like two years. So, and I did learn loads. Like I think my first position I was trying to fill was a head of or a procurement director for France, and I was like,
Right.
I've
God.
got no idea what procurement means. I don't speak French. how am I going to find this? And I had no internal experience. So, but I just kind of dived in and I learned it. I actually formed an internal recruiters kind of group at the time because I was like, I need to learn from my peers in the industry.
Nice. Yeah.
So I remember, I reached out to quite a few people in the industry in a similar position. So initially there was like a group of 8 or 10 of us, and we would literally meet every month or so, and talk about recruitment practices essentially. What's going well, what isn't going well, what trends are happening, and that's kind of how I got more knowledge and got a better understanding of really what I'm meant to be doing in my role. But anyway, so we had such a great time at Five Guys. I was there for about 2.5 years. We were opened as far up as Dundee and as far south as towards Portsmouth. So it was on the road all the time, assessment days. But it kind of came to a point where I thought, right, I need something that's going to challenge me a little bit more. I met one of the co-founders at Honest Burgers at an event actually, and yeah, the next day we got in touch. We went for a beer, and yeah, he told me what they were looking for. It was a head of recruitment position, again, kind of setting up a department. But I was thinking, I made so many mistakes at Five Guys, and I've learned from them. I want to
Yeah.
do this. This is exactly what I could do at Honest Burgers. The values and the philosophy really were exactly the same as me and mine, and we did. And so I started as head of recruitment, and I've kind of I went into more of a talent management role, and now, I look after recruitment, employer branding, internal comms, and team engagement. So I do a lot more now, and my thoughts are certainly on a talent attraction piece and staff engagement. Team engagement is that makes up the employer brand. We do so much
Yeah.
internally, and we just talk about it externally. And essentially, that's what my role is. And the beauty of it is, we've grown. I think I joined Honest when there was 11 restaurants. We're now on 43, and
Wow.
going to open another 6 this year. That's the aim,
Great. Yeah.
which is great. So, and we've seen people come and go. Honest has grown. We went very structured, and then took the structure away to back kind of how we are in a structured, unstructured environment. And we're just trying to do great things. We kind of wear our hearts on our sleeves, and we just want to do a good thing for people. And I guess that's a lot what my role is at the moment.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you've got like a pretty key word in all of that, right? Is honest, and that's something that I always remember when you guys first hit the scene with like 1 or 2 restaurants in London and going to get an honest burger at the time. It was like, wow, this is a really cool burger and such a simple offering. But then actually from a branding perspective, when you're talking about attracting people into your organization,
Mm.
using the word honest, I would imagine would be quite a powerful word to utilize.
Yeah, and I guess a part of our kind of EVP tagline is honest by nature, and that really means that we're going to showcase what we're doing. Like, we're just staying humble. We keep things simple. We don't want to. We're not getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
We serve burgers and chips at the end of the day, and we know that our environment is a great place to work, and we want to give up people opportunity to see it. And if they choose, actually, honestly, they're going to be the right place for them to work, then that's great. But also at the same time, it also adds that filter. We want to be quite transparent with what we're doing, whether it be our pay scales, whether it be different job, what you'll be doing in your job, the style of environment, the hours that you work. We just need to showcase everything so
Yeah.
people get a really good picture of what it is they're about to come into,
Yeah.
to find out if it's going to be the right place for them or not.
But I mean, it's actually such a simple mindset to have towards something like this. But I see it. We see it. I mean, you've worked in external recruitment as well. Is that you get a lot of organizations who want to portray something to try and attract people in, but they're not being authentic about it, and that soon catches up with them. But actually, what you guys are doing is just kind of laying it all out on a plate and saying to people, this is us. Like we want people to come and work for us, but if you don't get it, that's cool. It's just not the place for you.
Exactly that, and that's really like kind of where my mind is, and my kind of method of employer branding is that we will never say, and you will never see on our job adverts, our careers page, anything that we really advertise, saying we are the best place to work. We do this. We're the best. We have the best people. Da 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 da. Because we probably don't. Like we are not for everyone, and
Yeah.
we are not for everyone, and that's the beauty of it. We'll be for, we will be for some people, and we won't. So we just need to share the stories so people understand why they might like it, but also why they might not like it. We just want to be authentic. We kind of show it rather than say it, and then we'll let other people say how good their life is, honest, or maybe they'll tell us actually this wasn't great, and in that case we'll also showcase it as well.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean that's great, and well, you're being honest then, aren't you? Hey, who'd have thought?
Yeah.
But it's such a simple idea. I don't know why more people don't kind of, I suppose, lay it all out there, warts and all, because as a business, as per every individual out there in the world, you can't get everything right 100% of the time.
Yeah.
But this is what we are trying to do to be the best that we can be.
Yeah.
Who's on board?
Yeah, exactly. Everyone's human at the end of the day. We always
Yeah.
make mistakes, and we do a lot right, and
Yeah, we
do a
should
lot by
probably
our
focus
people.
on that actually a little bit because
I know. I've
you
been saying like, yeah, we don't do this, don't do this, but
yeah, because you definitely do as well though. I mean that's as a reputation as a place to go work, from my knowledge of the recruitment marketplace, you are a brand that people want to go work for, so you must be doing something right and very cool for that to happen.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the thing. We we try to do the best by our people, and with that, we are ticking a lot of boxes, and we're proud of a lot of the stuff. I mean, especially over the last 2 years, the aim was we didn't want to make any redundancies at all. We want to keep people in jobs, and so it's having individual conversations with every single person to understand their needs and keep them engaged throughout, keep them developed, and look after them, and create this place where people feel like they belong. And that's what I feel like we've done a lot of, and I guess we know we're doing a lot right in that sense.
Yeah. How did you? I mean, you mentioned the last 2 years. I wasn't really anything particularly groundbreaking happened in the last 2 years, as I
I think
recall.
so. No.
But yeah, what were you doing to? What kind of things were you doing to keep your guys engaged with what you're doing at a time where business didn't have its doors open? You see how I did that
Oh,
without saying the word?
I know. I noticed. I know it's so close to that saying that word as well, but I didn't say the word. But I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure people know exactly what we're talking about.
Mm.
Um, I actually remember the conversation we had when that word was kind of announced, and we had a meeting. Like, okay, so what's the next week? Next 8 weeks. What can we do for the next 8 weeks? And thinking about it, yeah, we thought it was gonna be over in like 8 weeks.
I know. Well, I think they
And here
didn't they
we are
say.
2 years later.
Yeah, it was at the time when they announced it, wasn't it something like, "We're going to lock you down for 3 weeks,
Mm,
and then we'll be back.
yeah,
We'll review it at that point." And
exactly.
yeah, holy moly!
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, obviously, so the restaurants all closed for about 6 weeks permanently during that lockdown. So we set up a program. It was essentially an events calendar called the Homefront, and what we wanted to do was create a space where people can connect with each other, because everyone had different, everyone was in different situations. some people were at home alone, some people with housemates, some people were back with family, some people with, sons and daughters,
Yeah.
and actually just wanted to switch off. But we wanted to create a platform where if people wanted to log on and stay in contact with people within Honest, then we needed that platform. We'd been using Workplace by Facebook anyway as our internal communications platform. So through that, we were able to put on an events calendar. So we had like music lessons. There was one of our co-founders did a hit session every single morning. We
Right.
had a Friday night pub quiz.
Is one of your founders
Um,
called Joe Wicks? No.
yeah, I know. Yeah, no, they were kind of in competition, I think.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I think Joe might have won on that front,
I
but
think
anyway.
so. Yeah, I think so. We did some language classes.
Wow.
Um, there was loads going on. We had a radio every single morning. So one of our team members is a musician and has got his own kind of radio set up at home. So he was doing the radio in the mornings,
Fantastic.
called Sunny Side Up. So it
I'd
was
actually
great.
heard
It was
about
actually,
that. I'd heard that there
did
was
you?
a radio element
Yeah,
to
yeah,
what you guys did through that period,
yeah. It
which is
was really
really
cool.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, one of our co-founders, Phil, actually, I think it's Sky. Is it Sky or BBC? One of them, they cottoned on. So we went live on Sky, showcasing our events program,
Ah, right.
which is quite fun. So yeah, so obviously that was to keep people entertained.
Yeah. That in itself is when you get that kind of publicity as well, people
Mm,
can see from that. I mean, that to me is a really cool thing. But equally, there could be somebody sat next to me who goes, "Oh my God, you couldn't pay me
yeah,
enough to get involved in something like that." So
yeah,
you're kind of still laying it out there that this is us. So if you like
mm.
it, great, come and have a chat. If not, no drama.
Yeah, exactly. People could switch off. They didn't have to. It was completely up to them. It was just creating a platform where people could stay connected. But
Yeah.
we did so part of the Honest Pub. That's what it was called. The where we did like the Friday night quizzes and we did bingo. And before our restaurants reopened, we wanted all our teams to have the first burger before our customers. So we teamed
Right.
up with Deliveroo and we sent out a burger to all our teams who wanted one, and then we all got together that evening and did like a big live burger and a beer. Before then, the next day, that's when we were open for customers. So that was a really nice touch as well.
Yeah.
There were some people that were outside the delivery catchment area, so unfortunately we couldn't deliver to them. But yeah, there was a lot of our teams who were in the catchment area, so we were able to get a burger out to our teams before customers came back in.
Very cool.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, absolutely. Well, I mean, I don't want to dwell on that period because it's a period that we're all trying to work past and beyond and through, which hopefully, touch wood, we now are as we
yeah,
move into 2022. I want to go back actually to the kind of the beginning of your journey around the travel piece, because for me, travel is such a massive part of. I mean, it's a cliche of broadening your mind, but what do you think that part of your life brought to you?
I think that was, I guess it was an experience because hey, like when you're young, you're away from home, you're kind of living with your mates. It's you're just having a great time. But it also taught me so much. Working with other cultures. We to give you an example. I mean, we were in Egypt. I actually went to Egypt twice, thinking about it actually. One for 9 months, one for 6 months, and we were in accommodation within a Egyptian town.
Mm,
So you're literally living in other cultures, which was amazing. So it really taught me, I guess, adulthood because you're kind of living for yourself at a half young
yeah.
age. Other cultures and massively like a service element, like exceeding customer expectations. We were contracted essentially to work in huge hotels overseas where customers are paid thousands of pounds to come and stay in these hotels. And essentially we were there as a service for them. So
Right.
it certainly taught me guest expectations and hard work. We were working like 6.5 days a week. We would get half a day off a week. So it was long hours. Sometimes you're literally up early at the crack of dawn, and then you're not getting back home until 11 at night. So
Yeah.
certainly it taught me a lot, but also I think probably to where I am today, if I hadn't picked up those skills, I don't think I would have got to where I am today, because it taught me really where I wanted to go and the style of environment that I wanted to work in. I could never work in I'm never like a suit and tie person working in an office. It just
Is that you? Are
wouldn't.
you in your uniform at the moment?
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
smart. Actually, I just had a t-shirt on. I'm literally like tattooed like up from there to the bottom. So I've got them covered
Right.
up. But yeah, like that's just me, and that's probably what I learned most of, actually, the style of career that I want to work in.
Yeah. I am very, very quick to anybody who wants to listen to say, if you have the opportunity to travel as young as you can, do it.
Mm.
Do it.
100%.
Because it's just, it doesn't really matter where you end up going, but just break the shackles of mum and dad and to somewhere where you're outside of your comfort zone, where you don't know anyone, and I think it can be the making of you as a human being, and I think it gives you a hell of a lot of tools to move forward with.
Definitely, I couldn't agree more. It made me, certainly. So yeah, 100%.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I also want to come back to a point you mentioned earlier on about finding yourself out of your depth in Five Guys. That is, I suppose, an inevitable part of life. Really, is
Mm.
that is you're always going to have these opportunities whereby you look at it and you think, yeah, I can do that, and then you get into it and you go, crikey, right, I've got a
Yeah.
lot to do here. How did you how did you get round that? How did you kind of adapt to? I feel like this is turning into a job interview now, but how did you how did you get past the adversity?
Um,
I don't have a job, by the way, just so we're clear.
I good. That's a really good question. Now I do feel like I'm being interviewed. Um, I I suppose I've never really, when I was at school, I never really took to being so academic. I was much more interested in the design and um, sports, like something physical. That's what I was always better at. Sat in the classroom listening. It was never my strength at
Yeah,
all. So
we could
I
definitely
think,
high five on that. That was
yeah, there we go
I
then.
was the same. Yeah,
Yeah, but I guess so I've always learned really well and taught myself to learn by just diving in the deep end, which is, going back to the Five Guys thing. It's probably a really good example, actually, of I was out of my depth at the time. I thought, yeah, I can do this, it's fine. But now reflecting on it, um, I was out of my depth. But I've always learned better that way, just learning from mistakes, networking, understanding what other people are doing, learning what other people are doing, seeing and analyzing it, seeing if I actually think it's the right thing for me to do. And this is turning into a really bad answer, actually. Have I gone off?
no, you're doing all right. You're doing all right.
Um, but I guess as my career's gone on, I know that you can't always rely on just jumping in the deep ends and learning from mistakes, and because you do have a level of expectation as well. So
Yeah,
I've taught myself a better way of learning. So if I were to take on a course, I was actually doing a course last week, but I couldn't just have a textbook and read a textbook because it wouldn't go in. I'm
yeah.
much better at just listening to podcasts, watching YouTube videos, and that's my
Glad you
best way of
said that.
learning.
Yeah.
Yeah, learning.
Podcasts are the greatest method of learning in the history of the world.
Yeah, you can give
I
me the
think.
tenner later now.
Yeah.
I'll put that one in there. But so I now know my style of learning, but it did take me a while because throughout, you always get given a textbook. We always get given a web link, and you have to read everything, and
Yeah.
it just doesn't suit my style of learning. so yeah, I mean, now I listen to podcasts, YouTube videos. I want to go and speak with people, just short coffee chats in yeah, small snippets, and that's the
Yeah,
best way for me to learn. I've always also had to kind of take a step away. I was very guilty, I think, of getting very excited about something, saying yes, and then just running away and doing it. Where now I've actually managed myself, so I do have a thought process, take it in, say to someone, I just need to take 24 hours to think about it, just so I can reflect
yeah.
and then think and then do. So I guess they've been my biggest challenges that I've overcome, where I just haven't been that academic and taught myself a way of learning, which has been impactful for my career essentially.
Yeah, but I think you've hit a very valuable nail on the head there around that whole piece, because that's the way of life, that people learn in very different ways, and some people are really comfortable getting their head in a textbook, and some people are not. And I'm like you, I'm not a textbook learner at all.
Mm,
I'm a very visual and oral learner, so I'm completely with you. And I think the world
mm.
is gradually waking up to that point, but still, I think the schooling system is very much geared towards textbooks. Textbooks, you know,
I know.
go to an exam and you're either good or you're not.
It's backwards, isn't it?
Yeah,
And that's the thing. So, and I think, yeah, I mean, a lot more companies, a lot more companies are getting taken to it, and new way of thinking, and new way of learning, and
yeah.
adapting to how other people learn. But yeah, certainly the education sector needs to, yeah, speed up, I guess.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think certainly within industry, there's a lot more focus on that, and the fact that you could have a classroom of 10 people, and they're all going to
Mm,
have slight nuances in the way that they retain this information that we give them. So let's, rather than asking people to bend to one way, let's bend to the multiple ways that
mm.
this can be delivered.
Yeah, exactly. But it's also putting things into practice. Like, I think I don't actually know the exact stats, but so yeah, do correct me if I'm wrong. But if you learn something, unless you use what you've just learned in the next 3 days, you're probably gonna forget about it. And I'm
Yeah,
sure it's not 3 days, but it's something around that. So you have to put it into practice. So I think, with a lot of the learning, you take in so much, or there's so much in the textbook. Actually, 90% of that I'm not putting into practice, so I will
yeah,
forget it. Where that's where podcasts, you can choose what you're learning and hear stuff that other people are doing within your sector, and you can take little bits from that and put it into practice. And that's, I guess,
yeah,
what I'm probably best at. And one of my strengths is trying new things. And a lot of the stuff I hear is, that person did this in this industry. Let's see if we can bring that into hospitality. And that's why I guess my mind's always in the sky. I like to get creative, and
yeah.
I usually have about 100 ideas a week, and only 90, well, only one of them is any good. 99 of them will be forgotten the next week. Um, but at least we're kind of practicing, and we're trying to keep the momentum going. And through that, there's a lot of learning.
Yeah, I think you and I are made of similar stuff, because I have no lack of ideas. I would argue that of my 100 ideas, 100 of them can generally be parked and
Yeah,
put, but
yeah,
occasionally one. I mean, hey, we're doing a podcast chat, aren't we? So that was an idea that I had.
yeah.
So that's all good. But I think actually, the just going back to that moment of out of depth, just for very very briefly, I think
Mm,
that you kind of got to take your hat off to your employer for giving you, I suppose, the opportunity to be out of depth and learn, because there are lots of employers who wouldn't give people, if you're out of your depth,
mm,
you're gone type thing. So I think
mm,
it's one thing that I've certainly seen over the years that hospitality does really well, is that it's inevitable, especially in an industry which, let's face it, on the back of 2008 9, absolutely exploded
mm,
in terms of, like, the industry grew up. It became a serious investment for people, and as a result, we haven't kept pace in terms of being able to fill jobs in roles and in companies, etc., etc. So it's inevitable in that circumstance that you're going to have to take a chance on people, and that you're going to have to give them opportunity that they're perhaps not ready for. So it's then the organization's responsibility to let them go fail, basically.
Yeah,
and it sounds like you had that at Five Guys.
Yeah, and pretty more so at Honest Burgers, really. I mean, Five Guys, I don't think I had much choice. But at Honest Burgers, yeah, like that's the environment that Honest have, and it's Tom and Phil are so incredible actually because they give you space to try things new, and they give you the autonomy and ownership to try it and implement it and try and be the best at it as well.
Yeah.
And they encourage you to do so. So, you know, yeah, Tom and Phil have, that's the environment, and it's driven certainly by both of them massively.
Yeah. I mean, when you've got a guy called Phil, I've never met a bad one. So,
There we go.
you're set for success.
No comment.
Yeah. I think the other thing I picked up from your journey was networking, like that's a group that you set up of like-minded and other recruiters to kind of share best practice and all of these sorts of things. And the fact that you then were also at an event where you met one of the founders of Honest, and you now find yourself at Honest. It always amazes me how just putting yourself out there a little bit and talking to people can present opportunity when you really don't expect it.
Yeah, and exactly, and that's one of the beauties of networking.
Yeah.
I don't really go to too many networking events really now, but it's certainly at the time it felt like the right thing to do. I had a few friends anyway in similar positions, so there was a few of us initially, and then who I'd worked with as well at Appetite for Recruitment. So, and then we asked a few others to come, and then I think we built it up. There's about 30. And it was just a couple of hours. We invited them. Well, we used to go to a different venue each time. Then we had a couple of speakers come along. We had some really, really good speakers as well. So, and it was good. It was good. So certainly you learn a lot of other people, and hospitality's got that opportunity to, we should be, working close together, right? Because
totally.
we're all kind of tackling the same challenges, and it is quite a small industry, really. As big as it is, it feels quite small, especially the people side of the industry. So
yeah, totally. And speak to any business at this point in time, and they'll all tell you that they've got exactly the same problems. So why? I mean, we don't have to be competitive about that. That's something that we should be collectively trying to fix and do something about. And thankfully, there are people out there who are doing that. And it's probably going to be a bit of a slow burner, but if you don't start some point, then we're just going to have to accept that this is our lot, and we definitely shouldn't accept what we've got at the moment.
Yeah, and I agree with you, and I think there is a talent shortage, and I don't want to talk about it too much, but as an industry, I think we all need to get better for our people. There's some companies doing amazing things, but I think there's some companies who also need to keep up, and that's good rotoring, pay fairly, give opportunities to develop, really look at your perks and benefits, and what can you do to retain your people? How are you setting people up for success? Creating an environment that people feel they belong and not being judged. So we all we do some amazing things, but I think we can do things better, and in turn that'll attract more people to want to work in the industry. I think recruiters get they're one of the most
Careful.
exposed in one, yeah, in one of the most exposed positions at the moment, because it's like you're a recruiter, you're meant to find people, but how are you meant to find people when there's only so many people out there?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what can we do internally to create this amazing environment that people want to work in, which will attract more people,
I
and
couldn't agree more.
then share the right stories. We do so many amazing things, so share those stories, and that will attract more people. And that's what I think we just need to do more of. We
Yeah.
see the Great Resignation just spammed everywhere, and it's like, well, why does anyone want to come in when we're just
Yeah.
shouting about all the negatives?
Totally.
So
I actually tweeted something maybe 3 or 4 months ago around the fact that it was another day, and you wake up to a headline that was something along the lines of greatest recruitment crisis in the history of the industry or the world or the universe or something like that.
yeah,
And, and I tweeted and said, is it not time for a reframe? Like, is this not
exactly.
now the greatest opportunity to come and join hospitality? Because the opportunity is there, and the opportunity to
Yeah.
make quick progress is there if you can control your own attitude to your work and you find the right place for you, because there's XYZ number of companies that do things very differently, but there's a company out there for everyone in hospitality.
Exactly.
And it just
And
does my head in that we continually go, oh, it's so bad. But actually, it's such a wonderful opportunity for us to do something really wonderful about this.
Yeah, yeah, and that's it. And I completely agree, because every headline is biggest recruitment crisis in hospitality. Hospitality suffers X, Y, and Z. But yeah, just let's share some positive news.
Yeah,
I also think, kind of going back to creating an environment and a place where people will want to work. I saw someone advertise the other day. We have the best benefits in industry, and like one of the highlighted ones was 30% off food during your shift. I was like, is that a
what?
benefit? Like,
Yeah, you're not giving
like,
them the food.
come on, like, is that really a benefit? So,
Yeah,
like, yeah, I mean, come on, man.
yeah, but yeah,
Let's
no, I know.
let's dig deep here, but that's where my mind's at.
Yeah, yeah,
I'll
but
finish it
I
on
think
there.
we're to kind of bring the positivity back again. I mean, I think we are we have such a wonderful opportunity to rebrand the industry, but we need to take
Yeah,
control of that. We can't rely on the mainstream media to shout the message out, because the message is always going to be horrible stuff, which,
yeah,
let's face it, exists in every single industry under the sun.
yeah.
But for whatever reason, they pick on us more with this perpetual long hours and shouty kitchens and all of that sort of stuff, which, of course it happens in places, but it
Mm,
does not define the work of 90% of the other people that work in this industry.
exactly, exactly, and it does, and this culture shift is going to take years to change,
Yeah.
and the stigma that is attached to hospitality. But I guess if everyone just digs deep and does their bit for it and
Yeah.
represents it how it deserves, then we can get there.
Yeah. Look after your own house in the right way. And
Mm,
if enough people do that, then all of a sudden we've created the most wonderful place to come work. And I I can often sound a bit ranty about this, but
I know. Have we just gone on a rant? I think we have, Phil.
I think that was that.
We have.
Yeah, maybe I'll open up a section in future shows that's just like what's the 5 minute rant. Let's just do this. Let's get a rant out of the way.
Feels rant.
But yeah, but absolutely. But anyway, I'll park that there.
Cool.
Then, conscious of time a little bit, but a couple of things I just want to ask you. I ask everybody this that comes on the show. Do you have any funny stories that you can share with us from your career so far?
Funny stories. I don't know. I was actually thinking about this, and I guess the most memorable actually is when I first started working at Five Guys. They actually thought I was on a trial shift. So it was actually my first day
Right.
it was my first day doing my training, so in Covent Garden, at their first restaurant. But I'd been on a stag do actually the weekend before, and then starting on the Monday, I
That's
was a
good
bit.
preparation.
I know it was the worst, and like could hardly speak. Rocking up to this. Well, what was my first day? Got my uniform. Da 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 da. Had a great time. Was on the tills pretty much. And then I actually got given feedback for my trial shift. So
Okay, you can come back, or
I know exactly. But yeah, so I actually got offered to go through to a final stage interview on my first day at work. Which was that was quite funny. That was always a story we used to talk about that I passed my trial shift as a team member on my first day.
just as well, eh? Imagine if they'd have
Yes,
turned around to you at the end and gone, "Sorry, Ollie, but you're not for
I
us."
know. That was the risk. And then I thought I could hardly speak, and you picked me on the tails. How do I even pass that trial shift?
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's brilliant.
And that was good fun.
It's that's it sounds like a lot happened at Five Guys. It was and I suppose the lesson there for them is up your communication game a little bit. Do you know what I love about this now in the background? You remember that guy
My
on
daughter.
in the BBC, the
Yeah,
guy in the BBC about 5 years ago when he was on a live Skype to the BBC and his daughter comes
yeah,
in the background, and back then
yeah.
it was, oh my god, that's hilarious. Now that's life.
That is life. Yeah, no, it's my girlfriend and my daughter heating up my daughter's milk for her lunch.
Very good. Very good. I hope she enjoys that.
Yeah.
Right. Well, final questions before we go. What would be your top 3 reasons why somebody should join hospitality?
I guess first of all is you can gain so many people skills that you wouldn't even imagine, and you couldn't gain in any other industry from all different cultures. You have people from all over the globe either working with you or dining in your restaurant, bar, pub. Probably that leads into the second one is you can make memories. Like the ball's in your court to make someone's day or make someone's evening, whether it be an office party, a date, just a party come in, or someone just having a bit of food and by on their own.
Yeah.
You get to make that kind of memory. And then I don't know, third one is I guess it keeps you young at heart. It's fun. It's a nice environment to work in. So you can pretty much guarantee you're going to have a great time.
Yeah, I think they're great, and I think it's just a wonderfully positive place to be. As you said, you're creating memories for people, but you're part of the memory. So you're creating memories for yourself as
Yeah.
well. And I think are there any greater skills out there in the world than having good people skills? I don't think so. Might be different if you're trying to, I don't know, smash 2 atoms together or something like that. Probably being a people person is not what you need, but being having people skills prepares you for so many parts of your life away from work, at home, socially, when you need stuff done to your house, all of these sorts of things, the greatest skills on earth.
Yeah, I agree. Nicely
Wonderful.
said.
Before we go, if people want to get a hold of you, Ollie, and chew the fat over you or what Honest are up to, what's the best method for them to do that?
LinkedIn's probably best. Just contact me, Ollie Cavaliero. I think I'm the only one on there, so yeah, you better find me there.
There are other people on LinkedIn, Ollie. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Yeah. Very good.
Yeah. No, that's wonderful. I massively appreciate your time today, and thanks very much for sharing your story with us.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. Really enjoyed it.
Pleasure. Nice one. Take care.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
And there we have it. Ollie getting season 2 off to a flyer with some excellent insight into employer branding, but also his story is a real triumph around what can happen when you stretch yourself. We'll be back next week with a special for International Women's Day, as well as our usual 8 PM Wednesday slot. So until then, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.